All right, hello everyone, this is Miss McLaughlin. So for some of you that know and others may not, I will not be here all week. So for my cohort A or cohort B students. So if you are remote, we will not be having meetings at all this week. If you are my hybrid students that I see you in person, there will be a substitute. But what I'm going to do is pre-record this video so you know what your expectations are for this week. So just because I will not be there the entire week, that does not mean you don't have to do any work. Okay, so again, some of you may know I need to go get surgery, so I'm okay and everything will be fine, but that's why I will not be able to be in school all this week. And for my cohort A students, I will not be in school the following Monday. Okay, so we will resume our teaching on the following Tuesday. I'll send you guys updates, okay, for when I'll be back. So to start, this video link is going to be posted right here in this blank area. There will be a blue link. So geography project number 1, this is part 1, because this week is our test week. So we're doing a project and a forms quiz. All together, it will be included in a test grade. So directions number 1, click on the link below to watch the mini review for the test, and then write the password from the video on the line. So again, the link will be right here in the middle space. And then somewhere in this video, I'm going to tell you a password. You're going to press draw, and you're going to write the password on the line. Going to the next slide. So this slide should look familiar to a lot of you because we did this activity before. So up at the top, this tool is called our compass rose. Our compass rose is used for direction. So on this compass rose, we have cardinal directions, which there are 4, north, south, west, and east, and then our intermediate directions, which are northeast, northwest, southwest, and southeast. Okay, so that's our compass rose review. Now down here, we have our map legend. It's also known as a map key. So maps use symbols and colors to represent things such as geographic features, landforms, mountains and rivers, places such as churches or stores, and many different battles or events in history. Okay, so if we look here at our map legend, there are 4 different symbols drawn for us. Okay, so we have a dotted line, a straight line, some triangles, and a star. So on our map legend, our map key, it tells us the symbols and then what each symbol represents, the meaning of each symbol. So this dotted line right here on our map legend represents a river. This straight line represents a road, the 2 triangles represent a mountain, and the star represents a capital city. So over here for the directions, it tells you below is a fantasy map for an imaginary place. So this is an imaginary place. Number 1, using the legend to the left, create a map with the symbols in the legend. So we have these 4 symbols. So one is already drawn for you. You take these 4 symbols and you draw them anywhere on this map. So for the first one, the 2 triangles, we drew it right here. Now, maybe you want your capital city to be right over here. So you would draw a capital city. Okay? Maybe the next is going to be a road. Maybe I want my road right here. And after that, a dotted line. Maybe I want my river to be right here. Okay, now step 2, create 4 additional symbols for your map and also include them on the fantasy map. So I know I reviewed, maybe I want to draw a tree. And it's kind of hard to draw a tree on here. And maybe I want to have it mean a forest because maybe on my map, I want to have a really big forest on my map. So I'm going to not only just draw the symbol, but I also have to write the meaning next to it. And then I would come over to my imaginary map and I would draw that same symbol. Okay? So we are not going to write the word forest over here. We're just writing the symbol on the map. And then you would think of 3 more symbols, or 4 for yours. And then you would write the meaning on the line next to it and draw it on the map. Okay, so this was review because we've already done this page. Now, the next slide. If you were asked, hint, hint, to draw your own map key and map legend. What you would do, let's see, if I want to include a text box and I want to label it as my map key, it's also known as a map legend, so I'm going to put both on there. And then I'm going to go back to draw, and maybe I want to add a really big square or rectangle. Okay, now my first symbol, and I'm going to draw an imaginary map. Maybe this is what I want my map to look like. But I have to have a map key, a map legend. So maybe I want my first symbol to represent a school. And I don't have to be an artist to do this. So my school is just going to be a square with an S. But so everyone else knows what it means, I'm going to write next to it what it means. A school. Okay? Then I'm going to take that symbol, not the word school, just a symbol, and I'm going to draw it on my map. Okay? Now maybe I want my next symbol to represent a lake. So maybe my symbol for the lake will be this little squiggle. And I'm going to label it as lake. Again, you don't have to be an artist. It could be a simple symbol as long as you put the meaning next to it. And then I'm going to draw the same symbol right over here. So if someone picks up my imaginary map of an imaginary place, they're going to see these symbols and they're going to wonder, well, what does this mean and what does this S mean? Well, they're going to then look at my map key or map legend, and then they can see what the symbols mean on my map. Okay, so a school, is that a landform or no? We should have all answered no, because a landform is something that is naturally made on the Earth's surface, on the Earth's features, okay? So a school is man-made, right? Because people build schools and buildings. But a lake is a landform because that is something that is not man-made and it's naturally made on the Earth's surface. Okay? So that's a little review. So in a moment, after this video is done, you are going to go back to this PowerPoint slide. You're going to fill in the password that I'm going to mention. Again, the video is not done yet, so wait for the password. And then you're going to go to this blank slide. And what I want you to do is I want you to create an imaginary place, and I want you to include 3 symbols of your own. So I don't want anybody to put school, and I don't want anyone to put lake. 3 of your own symbols. You need to include a map key and a legend with 3 symbols and the meanings, and then an imaginary map. Okay, if for some reason you forget the directions, come back to this video, rewatch it so you understand the directions. 3 symbols and the meanings, and you're not using the 2 I chose. Okay, so that was part 1 review. There are 3 parts of our project. So that's what you're going to do for part 1. Now, you're going to go to part 2. And I'm just going to pull up one of my classes. And on yours, if you are in cohort A, it's going to say week of October 26th, Social Studies Project Part 2 and Part 3, because I just showed you what Part 1 will look like. If you are in cohort B, yours will still say Social Studies Project Part 2 and Part 3, but yours will be labeled as week of October 29th, okay? But it's the same thing. So now part 2, once you're done with part 1, you watch the video, you write the password, and then you create your own map key and map legend with 3 symbols and their meanings and an imaginary map. Then you turn it in. Part 2, project part 2, when you open it up, what yours is going to look like is this form. There are 17 questions. Okay, so you'd scroll through, make sure you click on each of them and answer the questions. Read them carefully. Remember, this is a project grade, a test grade. There's 3 parts. So that's part 2, and then the last part is part number 3. So I'm going to open it up right here. So Social Studies 6th grade final exam geography unit. This first slide, it says complete the worksheet below by putting the correct letter by the correct continent or ocean. This whole slide is worth 12 points because there's 12 different continent or ocean. Okay, because 7 continents and 5 oceans. So North America, what I would do is I would go up and press this draw button. Maybe I'll just pick red. North America, I have to look, what letter is North America? Okay, and then I would write on the line what letter North America is. What can help you is to make it neat. You can zoom up on your screen to make this bigger so you can write directly on the line. If you don't write directly on the line and you're over here, I'm going to mark it as what South America is. You need to write on each line, okay? So all you do on this slide is write which letter matches up with the continent and ocean. Okay, then we go on to the next slide. Now it is a project. Okay. In ELA, you are reading Tuck Everlasting, which takes place in Tree Gap Wood. For the social studies test, you will be creating a map of Tree Gap Wood. Don't worry if it does not match the book. Be creative, but make sure you include the following on your map. So, the task. On the following slide is a view of Tree Gap Wood taken from above. Using the drawing tool, right up here, and or a text box, add the following to the map. So, if you want to draw, you would just press draw up here. If not, on your iPad, you would go to Insert, and mine says text box right here. But on the iPad, once you go to Insert, scroll all the way over, right over here. There's not going to be these 3 dots, but there's going to be a little arrow. I'm going to show it what it'll look like. Right up here, it's going to be a little arrow that looks like this. Okay, so if you go to Insert, scroll all the way over, click on this little purple arrow, it'll be a drop down and it'll say text box. Okay, so that is how you can add a text box and type if you would prefer to type. If not, you could also press the draw button and you can draw. Okay, so that was going over that directions. So, what you're going to be adding on the Tree Gap Wood, which is on the next slide, is the first one, a title. That's worth 1 point. So you would go to your Tree Gap Wood and you can press draw and draw in a title, or you could go to Insert, click on the purple arrow and add a text box. So you put your title on your map. You're not going to label it title, you have to create a title, right? Now number 2, create a legend or map key to your map. It must contain 6 items. 2 of the 6 items must be landforms. Remember what landforms are. You can use what you see on the map, or you can draw in your own. Don't forget to make a symbol with the description in your legend and put the symbol on the map. So this part 2, number 2, we just did earlier in the video as review. So remember what a map key or legend is. When you go onto your map, you're going to have to draw it or add it in a text box. Label it map key or map legend, and remember it tells you must have 6 items. So on our preview project, what we did, I told you to add 3 symbols. Now you have to add 6, and 2 of those 6 have to be landforms, so things that are not man-made. We went over several different landforms. Don't forget, you need to make a symbol with the description. So when you go to your Tree Gap Wood, if you add a symbol of a different landform, you need to show the symbol and then write what it is next to it. The description means, well, what is the symbol? Because if I pick up your Tree Gap Wood map and I see all these random symbols, I don't know what they mean. So you need to write the description next to it. Okay, we just reviewed this step at the beginning of this video. Okay, that's worth 12 points. That's a lot of points, guys. Make sure you reread this step. Number 3, draw compass rose with both cardinal and intermediate directions. Remember, we know our four